Ye Susu had already steadied her breathing. Her earlier panic washed away as she calmly met Dongfang Bai's gaze. In her mind, she replayed every word Han Li had spoken before his departure, and admiration welled up in her heart. It was as if he had foreseen every turn of events that would unfold today. She and her people merely needed to follow his arrangements step by step. At that moment, a streak of light descended into the courtyard, resolving into Lu Yun's figure. "How did it go, Elder Lu?" Dongfang Bai asked. "I traced traces of Han Li's lingering aura on a mountain several thousand kilometers north." He paused there briefly, then boarded a flying carriage and continued onward. Beyond that point, his aura appeared only faintly in scattered locations. It's clear he took measures to conceal himself. "I was pressed for time, so I left markers behind and returned at once," Lu Yun replied with a respectful salute. "Very good," Dongfang Bai said, nodding. "So they weren't lying after all," Tao Ji muttered, his brows tightly drawn. Dongfang Bai cast one last glance at Yesusu before saying coolly, "Let's go." In the blink of an eye, he vanished. Tao Ji and the others followed in quick succession. Soon, only the Azure Fox clan remained in the courtyard, exchanging silent looks. Yesusu's palms were slick with sweat. She glanced at her mother, then raised her eyes toward the massive warships looming overhead. Her heart filled with disbelief. Just who was Han Li to warrant such an overwhelming display of force? High above, Tao Ji and the others appeared on the deck of a golden battleship. Dongfang Bai stood at the railing, gazing down at Azure Fox City. Without turning, he issued a single command. "Kill them all." Tao Ji stiffened. "What?" To Dongfang Bai, it mattered little whether the Azure Fox tribe had aided Han Li's escape. What mattered was sealing all knowledge of Han Li's trail. Only then could the heaven-controlling vial, and the credit for reclaiming it, belong solely to him. "Yes, Palace Master," Hei Dao answered without hesitation, bowing deeply. "Leave nothing behind," Dongfang Bai added coldly. "If the immortal prison investigates, loose ends will bring trouble." Hei Dao acknowledged the order and departed. "Elder Tao, Elder Lu," Dongfang Bai continued, "taking the whole army will only slow us. The three of us will pursue him directly." Lu Yun agreed at once. Tao Ji hesitated briefly, then nodded as well. He had seen Han Li's terrifying strength with his own eyes. Though he wished for more manpower, with Dongfang Bai personally joining the hunt, his own role would likely be minimal. Even witnessing Han Li's death would be enough to satisfy him. With a flick of his sleeve, Dongfang Bai summoned a white flying boat over 100 feet long, clearly a high-grade immortal treasure. He stepped onto it, and Tao Ji and Lu Yun followed. Once Lu Yun indicated the direction, the boat shot forth like a white comet, vanishing into the horizon. Below, the golden battleships above Azure Fox City flared with blinding light. Runes ignited across their hulls as they descended, activating their killing arrays. A devastating aura swept over the land. According to later accounts, Azure Fox City was reduced to ashes that day, erased by what was recorded as a catastrophic natural disaster. More than half a year passed in the blink of an eye. In the northern reaches of the Golden Origin Immortal region lay three great rivers, the Dragon River, the Yuan River, and the Water Ripple River. They converged at the foot of Combe Great Mountain, forming the vast three-river lake, stretching thousands of kilometers across. Long ago, hundreds of mountains once stood where the lake now lay, all part of a single range connected to Combe Great Mountain. An immense immortal sect had flourished there, but it was annihilated in an ancient battle, its peaks shattered and leveled. With time, the rivers flooded the ruins, burying the remnants beneath their waters. Though the sect was long gone, many of its structures endured. These were later claimed by the Combe Flow sect, a relatively young faction. After renovations, the old buildings appeared renewed. It was rumored that ruined immortal abodes still lay hidden beneath the lake, protected by ancient arrays. Untouched treasures might yet slumber on the lakebed. The Combe Flow sect claimed the Three River Lake as its territory, but lacking overwhelming strength, it dared not seal it entirely. Instead, it converted some of the submerged ruins into water abodes, renting them to cultivators. High-level immortals found the residual origin chi unremarkable, but many true immortals, especially those cultivating water attribute arts or water laws, favored these abodes. The income was modest yet steady, sustaining the sect for countless years. On this day, a tall man with an unremarkable face arrived at Combe Great Mountain, requesting to rent a water abode. It was Han Li, traveling under a plain guise. He was greeted by a kindly elderly administrator who, while polite, was clearly unimpressed by Han Li's ordinary bearing. "You've come at just the right time," the old man said with a smile. "Only 3 vacant water abodes remain. I'll fetch a map at once." "There's no need," Han Li replied calmly. "I wish to choose one of the unopened abodes." The Three River Lake still held over a dozen such sealed abodes, protected by powerful restrictions the Combe Flow sect could not break. Anyone could rent them at the usual price, but whether they could enter depended entirely on their own abilities. Whoever succeeded could claim whatever lay inside, provided the structure remained intact. In earlier days, many daring cultivators tried their luck. Most failed. Some who succeeded perished within, and even those who emerged with treasures were often hunted down and slain once they left the sect's territory. The Combe Flow sect offered no protection beyond its borders, and rent was never refunded. Ironically, these unopened abodes brought the sect more profit than the safe ones. There was never a shortage of cultivators willing to gamble their lives for fortune. Yet such risk-takers had grown rare, and it had been a long time since the administrator encountered one. "Very well," he said after a pause. "Please wait while I fetch the map." He hesitated, then asked, "May I know your name, esteemed guest?" "Han Li." "A pleasure, fellow Taoist Han," the old man replied, nodding before leaving. Soon after, he returned with a detailed map of the Three River Lake and spread it out, carefully explaining the locations of all the unopened water abodes. Han Li's finger traced the jade map before stopping at a secluded mark. "This place? An unopened water abode, yes?" he asked calmly. The elderly administrator smiled faintly. "Indeed, but I advise fellow Taoists not to attempt it. Many late Golden Immortal cultivators have tried. The gate restriction alone repelled them all. 2 even forced their way, one crippled by backlash, the other slain outright." Han Li listened, then replied evenly, "I am versed in arrays and restrictions. Even if I fail, I can preserve my life." Seeing his resolve, the old man nodded and arranged a guide after payment was made. A red-robed young woman was summoned to lead him. She was not striking, yet the dimples on her round face gave her a gentle, ever-smiling air. She guided Han Li and Weeping Soul down Combe Great Mountain, chattering as they walked. With a curious tilt of her head, she asked why he had chosen this place. "We call it Ill Omen Manor," she explained. "None have opened it, and many died trying. If you succeed, you may rename it." Han Li smiled faintly. "Ill Omen Manor is fine." She sighed, warning him not to risk his life. When Han Li asked her name, she hesitated, unused to such courtesy. "Hu Xiaocheng," she answered shyly. Han Li praised the name, though his thoughts drifted elsewhere, to Ye Susu, and to the news that Azure Fox City had been annihilated with no survivors. He knew it was a lie meant to erase the Immortal Palace's trail, and that knowledge had drawn him here. They soon reached the lakeside plaza. Cool wind rippled the water, easing Han Li's heavy heart. Hu Xiaocheng gestured ahead. "Descend 10,000 feet from here, and you'll reach the manor." Before she could finish another warning, Han Li plunged into the lake like a falling star. She puffed her cheeks in frustration, convinced he would fail as all others had. Yet moments later, a figure burst from the water. It was Han Li. Stunned, she exclaimed that he had returned too quickly. Amused, Han Li tapped her forehead lightly. "Fetch the administrator. Tell him the water abode is open." Disbelief gave way to frantic motion. She returned with the elderly man, who personally descended to confirm the claim. When he resurfaced, his joy was unmistakable. Han Li was granted 3 years within the abode, free to claim its treasures. At the request for a name, Han Li glanced at Hu Xiaocheng and answered, "Ill Omen Manor." After the administrator departed, Hu Xiaocheng was invited to descend with him. Wrapped in azure light, they sank into the darkening depths. Broken mountains littered the lakebed, dotted with distant glowing abodes like stars. They stopped before a modest hill crowned by a light barrier and an ancient courtyard. "Ancestral Hall?" Hu Xiaocheng gasped. Han Li laughed softly. "That is why none could break the restriction." When she asked how he succeeded, he replied simply, "I've read many books." In truth, he had seen this array in ancient records, and to him it was no great challenge. Hu Xiaocheng looked on in envy and awe. Then the greatest scriptures and treasures are yours." Hanli only smiled, already stepping into the silent depths of Ill-Omen Manor, where long-sealed fortunes awaited their rightful master. Hanli spoke lightly as he stepped toward the water abode, pushing open its ancient doors. If the sect had truly fallen, he reasoned, then its most powerful treasures would have long since been removed from the ancestral hall to resist calamity. At best, perhaps a few scriptures remained. Hu Xiaocheng sighed in disappointment, yet her spirits soon lifted. Cultivation manuals could be treasures of equal worth if they were profound enough. The doors groaned open, revealing an open courtyard untouched for untold years. Within stood only a rusted copper vat. Hanli examined it closely, discovering ancient runes carved along its surface. Half filled with water, it cradled a dark green lotus flower, radiating dense water law fluctuations. Hu Xiaocheng exclaimed at the rich water attribute qi, unable to fully sense its depth at her level. Smiling faintly, Hanli swept his sleeve, and the vat vanished into his flower branch domain. Beyond the courtyard lay corridors leading to a vast hall, once a place of assembly, now holding only decayed cushions. Past it stretched a broad courtyard paved in white stone like a training ground. At its far end stood the most important structure of all. Above its entrance hung a plaque proclaiming, "A long history and a bright future." Inside, a 9-tiered offering table dominated the hall. Upon it rested over 80 exquisitely crafted long-life tablets, bearing the names of the sect's leaders and elders. On the lowest tier lay 2 thick books wrapped in faint golden light. Hanli broke the weakened seals and skimmed their contents. One recorded the sect's history, the other its lineage from founder to last disciple. The sect's name, Tranquility Sect, drew a sigh from Hu Xiaocheng. Hearing it, Hanli was reminded of other ancient powers that had vanished overnight, their long legacies erased by catastrophe. His gaze then fixed on a peculiar tablet bearing the name Chang Qingliu. Inspecting it with his infernal devilish eyes, he tapped it lightly. Azure light flared, and a hidden jade slip flew free. Within it lay the formless journal, a water law cultivation art of the Tranquility Sect. Relief and joy crossed Hu Xiaocheng's face, and Hanli himself smiled. Though the technique held little value to him, it was perfectly suited for his earthly deity avatar in the Black Wind Sea. Along with the copper vat and lotus, his gains were substantial. The two later sat quietly at the hall's entrance, gazing at the shimmering barrier overhead. Hanli suddenly revealed that Hu Xiaocheng had been assigned to watch and report on him. Embarrassed, she admitted the truth. He explained calmly that she had been sent because as others doubted his ability to open the water abode. He then spoke plainly, advising her never to belittle herself. Her talent was sound. It was merely a lack of resources that had stalled her at late nascent soul. Producing a small red vial, he told her its pills would only be useful once she reached body integration. Before she could refuse, he pressed it into her hand and tapped her glabella. In an instant, the full, formless journal appeared within her mind. Stunned beyond words, Hu Xiaocheng listened as Hanli warned that Three River Lake would soon fall into turmoil. He had come not to cultivate, but to wait for a sworn enemy. He urged her to flee immediately, revealing that he had already removed the comb flow sect's mark from her body. When she asked why he helped her so much, Hanli answered softly that she reminded him of someone toward whom he still carried guilt. With deep gratitude, Hu Xiaocheng bowed and departed. Moments later, Weeping Soul appeared, questioning whether Hu Xiaocheng might betray him. Hanli laughed, unmoved. Even if she did, it mattered little. He was staying precisely to be found by the Immortal Palace. Together, they would make their enemies pay. Half a month later, a massive white flying boat descended above Calm Great Mountain. Dongfang Bai and 3 Immortal Palace elders stood upon it. Below, the Comb Flow sect's leader and its administrator gazed up with obsequious smiles. Dongfang Bai's voice rang out coldly as he asked whether anyone else had been told that Hanli was staying here. I sensed this matter was of grave importance, so I concealed it from all others. At present, only Elder Lu and I know of it within the entire sect. Even the cultivators stationed in the other water abodes remain unaware. The Comb Flow sect leader replied hurriedly. Good. Then there will be no need for me to erase the whole sect, Dongfang Bai said calmly, nodding in thought. The azure-robed youth and the round-faced elder exchanged stunned looks, unsure if their ears had betrayed them. Before either could reflect further, their bodies stiffened. They discovered they could no longer move. Only their eyes remained free. A slick layer of green moss crept over their flesh, and upon it bloomed a vivid flower. The young man let out a wretched howl as the petals turned blood-red, dew beads forming upon them, dazzling and sinister. In contrast, the two men rapidly withered, all vitality drained away in mere breaths. Leaving behind shriveled husks, Dongfang Bai glanced at the desiccated remains without emotion. "Is his aura still present, Elder Lu?" "It is," Luyun answered. "Good." Elsewhere, Taoji gazed toward Three River Lake with unease tightening his chest. Dongfang Bai noticed at once. "If you have doubts, speak." "Hanli is no careless man," Taoji said. "For him to leave such obvious traces feels deliberate." "Why so timid, Elder Tao?" Hei Dao sneered. "Has fear clouded your mind since your body was destroyed? How could Hanli resist Palace Master Dongfang?" Yet Dongfang Bai inclined his head slightly. "Elder Tao's caution is justified. We advance carefully." Taoji bowed deeply as the flying boat rose and drifted above Three River Lake. Lu Yun pointed downward. "He is below." "Allow me to cleave the lake and drag that scoundrel out," Hei Dao said, grasping the massive blade on his back. "No need," Dongfang Bai replied faintly. "Such rudeness is unnecessary." He extended a finger, azure light shot forth and plunged into the lake like a descending flood dragon. The tranquil waters erupted, forming a colossal whirlpool spiraling down toward ill-omened manor. An azure spirit domain unfolded, sealing the turbulence within. Beyond it, all remained calm and unseen. With a thunderous crash, the azure light shattered a white barrier, revealing the hill of the Tranquility Sect's ancestral hall. Within the courtyard, Hanli sat at a stone table with Weeping Soul. His wine cup trembled, yet not a drop spilled. "You were right," Hanli said lightly. "Palace Master Dongfang came himself." He drained the cup, rose calmly, and stood as the waters around the hill twisted into a restrained vortex. Dongfang Bai's party hovered above. "I have long heard of you, fellow Taoist Han," Dongfang Bai said with a smile. "The honor overwhelms me," Hanli laughed, "to be hunted so persistently, like a stray dog, no less." "Insolent," Hei Dao roared. "Too sharp for your ears?" Hanli replied coldly. "How else should I address butchers who slaughter without remorse?" Hei Dao bristled, restrained only by Dongfang Bai's glance. Hanli then turned to Taoji, surprise flickering in his eyes. "We meet again, Elder Tao. Given a second life, should you not treasure it more?" Taoji's mouth went dry, his glare barely masking fear. "What are the lives of ants to us?" Dongfang Bai said evenly. "Hand over that item, and I will spare you, perhaps even recommend you to the Nine Origins Temple." Hanli understood instantly. His pupils tightened, yet he neither denied nor wavered. There would be no survivors here. Rumors would only breed endless trouble. He had never feared the Immortal Palaces, only avoided needless clashes. Now retribution was due. "Oppose the Heavenly Court, and you invite ruin," Dongfang Bai warned gently. "With your talent and resources, great encompassment is within reach." "You bark as much as you chase," Hanli cut in lazily. "I don't care what you want. The Heavenly Court may loom vast, but crushing you is well within my reach." "A pity," Dongfang Bai sighed. "Such talent, wasted." Hei Dao moved at once. He descended in a blur, blade arcing downward. Dark clouds billowed, and a 10,000-foot blade projection tore through the sky. From the roiling gloom emerged monstrous ghostly figures, surging toward Hanli and Weeping Soul with murderous fervor. Hanli merely turned, amused. "Hungry again?" "My stomach's been empty since awakening," Weeping Soul grinned, licking her lips. "A ghost cultivator of this caliber? What a feast." "Eat slowly," Hanli said. She leapt like lightning into the clouds and vanished. Dongfang Bai and Hei Dao stared, stunned. Never had Hei Dao seen someone rush so eagerly toward death. Then terror struck. The ghostly creatures fled in panic, yet could not escape the blade's bindings. From the clouds rose curved horns, then an enormous ape-like head with a vertical crimson eye blazing on its brow. Bone spikes jutted from its back. Black, needle-like fur armored its body. "A Xing beast!" Dongfang Bai exclaimed. Hei Dao's blood ran cold. His ghostly arts met their natural bane. He tried to recall his blade, but it was too late. A crimson beam burst from the vertical eye, forming a vast blood-red chain that lashed through the clouds. sweeping toward the trapped ghostly host. Sing beasts had ever been the nemesis of ghosts and wraiths beneath the heavens. After her brush with death, Weeping Soul emerged fiercer than before. Her aura sharpened like tempered steel. From the center of her brow burst a crimson chain, a whip of blood-red radiance that pierced ghostly chests with ease, skewering one after another and stringing them together like ornaments on a cord. Crimson lightning crackled along the chain, and in an instant, the countless ghosts hidden within the dark clouds were obliterated, dissolving into drifting black mist. Almost simultaneously, the Xing beast opened its maw, spewing forth a surge of black light that swept the remnants into its belly, devouring them clean. Hei Dao had only just begun to sheath his blade when the crimson chain coiled around it like a living spirit serpent. Lightning erupted violently, racing through the chain and into his body. Hei Dao convulsed as agony racked him, his howl tearing through the air. At that critical moment, dark green light flared along his arm. Vines imbued with mysterious law power burst forth, winding from his arm down to his sword. Though repeatedly scorched by crimson lightning, the vines regenerated endlessly, forcing their way into the gaps between chain and blade, prying them apart bit by bit. Seizing this narrow chance, Hei Dao finally returned his blade to its scabbard. By then, however, most of the dark clouds he had summoned were already gone. The loss was devastating, yet survival alone was fortune enough. He turned hastily toward Dongfang Bai to express his thanks. "Thank you, Palace Master." Before the words left his mouth, a savage wind struck from behind. Han Li had vanished without warning, reappearing like a phantom at Hei Dao's back. His hand clamped onto Hei Dao's neck, and with a sharp twist, the sound of snapping bone echoed as Hei Dao's life was extinguished in an instant. Dongfang Bai's fury erupted. He thrust out a palm, drawing in vast strands of the world's origin qi, which condensed into innumerable azure wooden rods that shot toward Han Li in a torrential barrage. Han Li had already released the corpse and, invoking his reversal true axis, slipped past Tao Ji like a streak of light. He spared Tao Ji, descending instead toward the plaza before the ancestral hall. Hei Dao's body plummeted from the sky. His nascent soul had barely escaped when the Xing beast seized it and tossed it into its cavernous mouth. Tao Ji's face drained of color, panic overtaking him as he fled downward. Lu Yun hurried to Dongfang Bai's side, releasing a gray spirit domain while fixing Han Li with a wary gaze. Dongfang Bai burned with rage at losing a key subordinate so swiftly, yet shock at Han Li's strength flickered through his heart. With a grasping motion, the scattered wooden rods fused together, forming a colossal wooden dragon thousands of feet long that lunged at Han Li. "Wooden toys?" Han Li sneered. He clenched his fist, pouring fist intent and star power into it. A thunderous boom rang out as radiant starlight burst forth. The wooden dragon smashed into the glare, its body shattering rod by rod amid resounding thumps, splintering the sky with debris. Dongfang Bai emerged from the wreckage, calmly extending a finger. Azure light condensed into a dark green wooden spear that shot straight toward Han Li's chest, a draconic phantom coiling around it as space twisted violently in its wake. Han Li did not evade. With a sweep of his sleeve, he released an azure bamboo cloud swarm sword. The clash erupted with golden lightning, and the wooden spear exploded instantly under its bane. "So this is all a palace master can muster?" Han Li mocked. Anger flashed in Dongfang Bai's eyes, but he quickly steadied himself and descended onto the plaza. "I know your intent," he said coolly. "You provoked me to draw me here, into your prearranged array. Very well. I am here. Let us see what you can do." "You lack the might of a palace master, yet possess his arrogance," Han Li roared. Forming a hand seal, he shook the hill as 4 towering devilish projections rose forth, bearing an umbrella, an immortal sword, a mirror, and a python. They encircled Dongfang Bai. The umbrella lifted high, casting down rays that formed a dome of light, sealing the hill and freezing the flow of origin qi within. Dongfang Bai sensed the severed qi but remained unfazed. Wood cultivators harbored inner worlds, their power self-sustaining. Yet a beam of light swept toward him from the side. He dodged just in time, watching as a 30-foot crater appeared where he had stood. The mirror's beam warped space violently. One hit would have torn him apart. Before he could regroup, fire and lightning descended together, 5 colored flames rained down from the sword projection like meteors, while the python dove with lightning roaring from its jaws. With no room to evade, Dongfang Bai snorted coldly, chanting as he thrust his palms skyward. Azure light erupted, forming a massive ancient tree projection that withstood the storm. Though flames and lightning scorched it endlessly, the canopy regenerated faster than it burned, even resisting the mirror's beam. "Is this your trump card?" Dongfang Bai scoffed. His words had barely faded when a translucent beam flashed before him, transforming into a tiny sword that pierced his glabella. Agony tore through his mind, his consciousness churning as the azure light collapsed. The tree projection vanished, and lightning and fire engulfed him in an instant. Explosions thundered across the plaza, lighting the battlefield in blinding flashes. Nearby, Lu Yun and Tao Ji battled Weeping Soul. Seeing the bombardment, Tao Ji turned pale. "Focus on your opponent," Lu Yun said calmly, sleeves sweeping as he commanded 18 crimson metal flags to encircle Weeping Soul, refusing to let the pressure waver.